I'm Ellis Martin. Join me right here, right now, on Money Talk Radio for a chat with Daniel Major, the CEO of GoviEx Uranium. GoviEx trades on the TSX Venture Exchange as GXU, and in the U.S. on the OTC as GVXXF. GoviEx is a mineral resource company focused on the exploration and development of uranium properties in Africa. With a substantial resource inventory, GoviEx's main objective is to become a major uranium supplier by exploring and developing its key Muntanga project in Zambia, forecast to be in production in this uranium cycle. Daniel, welcome back to the program. It's been a while. It's great to visit with you today.
Yeah, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
A couple of things have happened of note that we should discuss today. First of all, in May, you closed an upsized $10.5 million private placement led by strategic Zambian group and supported by insiders of GoviEx. That's a substantial raise, and it means that you're actually going to be doing something, and you've got folks in Zambia involved. They're also doing something with agriculture as well. So I imagine it's involving energy and agriculture and pretty much development of this country, isn't it?
Yeah, we were very pleased to achieve that raise, and at quite a difficult time, if you remember, in the market. The market was all over the place, but to get such a strong support from a group in Zambia was very positive. And as you point out, the group have investments in other fields. So they do agriculture, they do cement, they do power, they do financials, and to get that kind of investment from there was a very positive stamp to the project. I think the other thing that it just shown me as well is there is access to capital in Africa for good projects, and it is something that we will strategically look at going forward as we look to develop the Muntanga project.
How did this fall together?
Basically, it started a raise. We'd announced it, a life deal. And as part of it, though, I decided to look at pastures far away and see what other opportunities were there, recognizing that at the time, the Canadian US markets were struggling with all of the political change that was there. And it's something I wanted to look at strategically anyway. And one of the brokers we were using introduced us to the guys, and they liked what they saw. They made a decision fairly quickly, came on board, and at that point the insiders then followed as well. So we're sitting in a good position. It's positioned us well for the year. Obviously, we already had the Bankable feasibility study in place that showed that this project could be built, and on the back of that we then really had to figure out where our next steps were. So we had appointed Endeavour to look at our debt financing options, and we've now just announced our drilling program for the year as well. So we're looking at all aspects of how to develop this project, and we filed our ESIA for the project as well. So it's been a busy year, and it's only in June.
Had you planned this exploration program before the financing? Walk me through this a little bit. And once you get the financing, it's a vote of confidence. You can go ahead and proceed with the exploration program.
No, absolutely. That's how we do it. We always look to what we want to do for the next year, set our budgets up to go forward, but you are constrained by the funds that you can raise, or you can go more aggressive. That's very much what we do. On the exploration program, it was interesting because we had spent really 2020 to 2023 doing nothing but infill drilling. That's all we did. We just infill drilled Dibwe East and did additional drilling that we needed for the feasibility study, and really didn't look beyond the core of the project at Metango East and Muntanga and Dibwe East. And so now that we've got that all sorted out in the feasibility study, my mandate to the exploration geologists, or the geologists who all happen to be exploration geologists, was, okay, blinkers off now, guys. Go back and look at our licenses and figure out what you can do. And also, we're in Zambia. This has got a massive block of geology, being the Karoo Sand, that goes all the way from Tanzania-Malawi border, all the way down the east side of the country, southeast side of the country, past us, and all the way out to the other end and the border with Namibia. So I'm like, guys, let's see what else we've got there. Let's start within our own property and then look outside. So they went back through some of the historical work that had been done on the projects, and our first target was to look at potential deposits could then add directly into the project itself. So there's two targets there. So the first one of those was Metango East. That is 4 to 5 kilometers away from the Muntanga deposit itself, which is part of the project. As we showed in the press release, this is shallow. We're talking less than 50 meters in depth. Historical drill holes showed the mineralization was there, had never filled it in or extended it. So that was the first target, which was obviously, can we add that straight into the project? The second target was a deposit deposit called Dibwe, which was one of the satellite deposits for the project, not included in the cash flow. It's only 10 kilometers away. And that was interesting because the historical drilling had gone in one direction, and they had done some radon work afterwards, which showed an anomaly went in another direction. So it was like, why didn't you drill the anomaly? That one, if it could increase the size of Dibwe, will allow those to go straight into the main project. The advantage of that, Ellis, is if we can get it a bigger resource there, we can either target a bigger project to produce more pounds per annum, or a longer life project, or hopefully both out of it. And if we can improve the project, that will improve its economics, economy of scale, whatever. And then the third main target is Kariba Valley, which is a license that we have. It's about 50 k's to the south of us. Had some preliminary exploration. We turned it into a mining permit last year. And that was exciting because the guys went down there in a small area. The previous drillers had targeted an area about 4 kilometers long, about 1.5 kilometers wide, and they drilled a series of fences of drill holes, but there was a hill in the middle, which separated the drill holes by about 500-600 meters, and they didn't drill the hill. But when you look at it in cross-section, there's no logical reason why the sections don't join up across the middle. And so that will be the real main target for this year, which is to prove that Kariba Valley is a major discovery for us down in that area. The exciting thing about this is that Kariba Valley could be a major discovery. Not only is the gap potentially there, but many of the drill holes finished in mineralization, so it's open to depth. It's open on strike because they never finished drilling out the end of it, and it's open on section as well. They never finished drilling out the section. So we've got a potential target here that's open in all three sides, and potentially we can fill in the middle of it as well. Very exciting opportunity, and it's only 3% of the total license area. So we may have a whole new mining district for ourselves.
You've called this in your latest news release, Kariba Valley, a true game changer and one of Africa's most underexplored uranium belts, and you're just beginning because, like you said, it's only 3% of your licensed property. And is there anyone else in the area doing this? Is it just you?
It's only us. We're the only people in Zambia who have uranium licenses. We're the only people that do it. And we're already pegging out other licenses now as well in the country and looking at other opportunities that we can see. But even on our own footstep of licenses we've already got, as I said, we were drilling on resource drilling because that was what we were focused on. And now we've stepped back because we don't have to focus. We've suddenly, oh my goodness me, look what we've got here. We've really got to go for this.
Okay, let's talk to the generalists listening to this program. We always have them, and you and I live in the mining space, and it's narrow focused, but now we're talking about clean energy, and there's been a mandate with some of the family offices, with investors to get involved in energy and clean energy. Why GoviEx? Why uranium? Why now? And also, what's changed since we last spoke in the market?
Let's do those at top down to the bottom. Let's start with why uranium. At the end of the day, any investment, you've got to understand your thesis on what's going to drive it. And ultimately, it's nuclear energy. I think we have seen probably the most radical accelerations of momentum in relation to sentiment to nuclear that we have seen at any point in any technology. It's been very rapid turnaround for us as an industry. I was looking at the numbers the other day. You've now got China going from 53 gigawatts of power in 2023 to 100 gigawatts by the time we get to the 2030. By 2040, there'll be 200 gigawatts. India's going from 7 gigawatts up to targeting 20 gigawatts by 2030, and then 2050 is looking at 80, 90 gigawatts. These are massive increases in power generation. Every gigawatt of generation capacity is about £500,000 of uranium. So these are big increases in demand coming through. And then the US has passed a series of laws which effectively really promote nuclear. The Trump government wants to quadruple. It wants to go from 100 gigawatts to 400 gigawatts. I mean, it's a massive increase. It's already the biggest fleet in the world. And so the demand side is there, heavily supported by AI. You've had two big deals reported in the last month, one with a company called Talon with Amazon. They're going to buy over a gigawatt a year for 20 years. And then you've got Constellation, who's just cut a deal with Meta to buy almost 2 gigawatts a year of power. And these are just for data. This is for cat searches. When you want to go and find the funny cat video on your chat GPT, that's where that power is going. And it just shows you all of a sudden on that expansion of that AI search, these guys need real power and they need it now. And the other thing, there's real money now kicking in. So you've had a company called TerraPower just had $650 million invested in them to buy Nvidia and Bill Gates. So real money is now heading towards it. Geopolitically, the World Bank has now, after decades, changed its stance and is now willing to invest in nuclear as well. So you've seen a real shift around. Zambia is a great place to operate. It's one of Africa's biggest mining jurisdictions. It's English law. It's been democratic since it went independent in 1964. And that's why we are there. It's also got one of the largest sandstone belts, potential mineral zones in the world. Very underexplored. Very similar to the US belts, where the US belts are well explored. The African Karoo sands are almost completely underexplored across the belt, which is why we're there. The mineralogy and processing and all the mining bits, the complex bit, are really simple when it comes to the ore type we have. We don't get any complexity. We're right near surface, shallow, it's open, and those good things. And for GoviEx, we've now got a feasibility study project at a time when demand, supply of material is not coming on the market. There are hardly any new projects around. You're going to see older projects starting to fade away. We haven't had a new project built since 2007. But the demand side just keeps accelerating and we need new projects to come through. And we're undervalued to our peers. We're running at a discount, but we're really now, last year was a time a lot of the developers were getting really running on the stock. We're now caught up where they were from a technical point of view. So I think this is going to be our year. The contract uranium is sitting at $80 a pound. That's important because what's happened with all the political change, the utilities, the buyers of uranium have been sitting on the back, not quite knowing what to do. But that means that they haven't been stocking the fridge. And at some point, you have to go to Costco and you've got to load up the orange juice because you're down to the half carton that you've got left. And that's the situation we're getting to now, is that those utilities, the amount they're holding has been getting shorter. The amount they've been buying forward has been getting shorter as they've avoided making decisions. And they're going to have to go down and restock the fridge very soon. And that will move the price up as well.
So what is the end game for the investor right now with regard to GoviEx, which in that question, I guess I'm asking you, what is your strategy for the next 5 years?
5 years, ultimately, there's two parts to it. One is obviously the development of Muntanga itself, getting that project up and running because the market needs Muntanga to be built and be part of the supply chain coming through. But we're also in a jurisdiction now where we have the potential to go and look for other resources, add those pounds, build out another project, or extend the size of ours to make it last for a lot longer. That's it. And I think the other thing, not for now, but for the future, there's a lot of people like ourselves who are looking to build their projects in Africa. Ultimately, the industry needs consolidation. We can't all be just a one project. In our view, that's why we're going out and looking as the first mover in Zambia. Where can we add other projects as well and add to this? But there are other people around us, and there should be a consolidation in our industry in Africa as well, ultimately going forward.
I don't hear as part of that plan that you're positioning yourself to be a takeout candidate. If anything, you're considering growing the company and perhaps someday being a mid-tier uranium company.
That's pretty well what we're doing. We're trying to build our company, and we are in such a great place to do it. And it is very exciting to see the potential geologically, because you need the geology. If we can find the pounds, then we can build the company.
And the offtake is really agnostic. It doesn't care where it goes, does it?
No, it doesn't. In our particular case, we can actually go east and west. So, where you got China with its massive demand side, India, massive demand growth coming, we can sell to both of those. Canadian and Australian producers can't, simply because of safeguarding restrictions by their own domestic governments. But at the same time, we have very close relationships to North American and European off-takers who also need the material. If the US are going to quadruple their demand, they need somewhere to get the uranium from. And yes, there are domestic producers in the US, but they can get nowhere near those kind of volumes. And so the US is going to need other sources of uranium around the world. And Zambia has been doing a lot of work with the US. You've got the Loboto corridor through Zambia, DRC into Angola being supported by the DFC, Development Finance Corporation, which is obviously US government-backed financing. So yeah, very positive place to be.
Daniel, it's really fantastic catching up with you each time that we do it. Don't be such a stranger. Thanks for catching us up, and I look forward to our next conversation. Appreciate you joining us today on the program.
Thanks, Ellis. Appreciate it.
I've been speaking with Daniel Major, CEO of GoviEx Uranium. GoviEx trades on the TSX Venture Exchange as GXU and the US on the OTC as GVXXF. The company's website is goviex.com, GOVIEX.com. I'm Ellis Martin, and this is Money Talk Radio.
Subscribe to Money Talk Radio. It's free. Go right now to ellismartin.com.